Hello, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis I, Michael A. Grimm, aka the Multi-Voice. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, I got another science fiction franchise to review for you today. And as you can see on my shirt here, what I'm going to be reviewing is the Stargate. Now, what can I say about Stargate? Actually, what can you say about Stargate? I mean, back in 1994, they did a movie of Stargate of what started the franchise. And what's the story all about? It all started in ancient Egypt! I always wanted to do the ancient Egypt joke. I mean, I knew I did one years ago, Trip to the Moon, but what it has in the story is you have two of the characters. You have Colonel Jack O'Neill, played by Kurt Russell, and Dr. Daniel Jackson, played by James Spader. And what it turns out is they went to ancient Egypt, and there's a bunch of Egyptian people, a small village, who are worshiping their Egyptian god, who all of a sudden their flying pyramids start showing up. And you see a bunch of guys in these Egyptian headgear, looking like Egyptian gods, shooting their lasers from their staff. And then here's the shocker. These so-called gods, they're not really gods. They are actually aliens, making people believe that they're gods, but they're not. And the leader of the gods is, of course, Ra, played by the same actor who is in the Crying Game. Yeah, I've seen Crying Game, so what? Now, throughout the movie, Kurt Russell's character, Jack O'Neill, tries to convince everybody that these so-called gods that they were worshiping, they're not really gods. They're just aliens from another planet who just forces people to worship them as gods and even enslave them. And of course, Daniel Jackson, played by James Spader, falls in love with a girl in ancient Egypt, and they battled against these so-called false gods, teaching them how to fight back, and finally destroyed Ra with a nuclear bomb. And of course, I remember this one line from Kurt Russell when he says this to one of the bad guys: "Give my regards to King Tut, a-hole." And of course, Jack O'Neill decided to go back to his own time, but Daniel decided to stay with his girlfriend. Now, the movie was a huge success, and years went by. They decided to finally do a TV series based on the movie, and the TV is called Stargate SG-1. And of course, most of the original cast members from the movie are recast. Especially, they removed Kurt Russell and James Spader, and what we have is Richard Dean Anderson as Colonel Jack O'Neill, and Michael Shanks as Daniel Jackson. Now, the series itself, I mean, it started in 1997 and ended in 2007. What is up with the year 7? So pretty much the series have lasted for like 10 seasons. And of course, they had to have new characters along the way. Like, they introduced Major Samantha Carter, played by the lovely Amanda Tapping. And of course, they met one of the aliens, which he calls himself a Jaffa. And it turns out it turns out that It turns out that they are aliens who goes by the Jaffa warrior way who serves the gods, but one of the member who decided to betray the aliens, his name was Tilk, played by Christopher Judge. So they formed themselves a new group, a new SG-1 because one of his old members got killed and the other one had a gold inside him and started controlling him. So Tilk has to kill him off in order for him not to try to go back to the Stargate. And of course, most of the team are led. Now, one thing I gotta say, they have a general who calls the shots. Well, he's not a general; he's a major general who calls the shots. And it's a good thing that they have a general who doesn't do exactly what the government does. Wanna know why? Because I'm the government. I'm the government. I'm the reason nothing works. And of course, his name is Major General Hammond, played by Don S. Davis. Now, I like that character. I like this Major General, Major General Hammond, because he is a very model of a Major General. He is a very model of a modern Major General. His specialty is. I cannot remember the song. But what can I say? I love the classics. And of course, they also have a medical doctor who helps them out. Her name is Dr. Janet Frazier, played by the lovely Tarl Rothery. Tala Rothery. Now, throughout the whole show, they keep on meeting other aliens through the Stargate, and turns out that these evil aliens, who are false gods, they are called the Goa'uld, and it's these snake-like critters. Ugh, ugly little runts. What they do is what these ghouls do is they get into the back of your neck so they can control your body and they only come out of your stomach. Tilk had one of them coming out of his stomach now and then. It helps heal him through any kind of like if anybody having any kind of cancer or anything, these Goa'ulds help heal them and continue on being strong and all until the body itself gets weak, and that's when they need a new host. When they finally communicate with Daniel, they took his wife away and made her become the queen to this bad guy, which is now no longer Ra, but Apophis. He becomes the new bad guy in the whole series. Now, throughout the show, throughout the whole show, they have been going through every single journey. And I always kept hoping throughout the show, since they kidnapped Daniel's girlfriend, well, now his wife, and I always kept wondering when does he ever going to get her back? Well, in the mid earlier episodes, he loses her because she was about ready to kill Daniel and Tilk had to kill her. And at first Daniel didn't forgive Tilk, but now he starts to realize, I mean, since his wife was pregnant by Apophis, and now there is this very special child, her soul kept contacting him, telling him that he needs to find the child. For good reason. And of course, there are also a couple of other aliens, like there are the Asgards. Believe it or not, the Asgards are good aliens. And at first, the Norse people used to worship them as God, and they promised to protect them. And of course, one of the Asgard's aliens that they met is, of course, Thor. No, not Chris Hemsworth Thor. Stargate's not connected to the MCU. I'm talking about this Thor. That's what the Asgards look like. And they're the ones who are the good guys against a whole bunch of golds who pretend to be Egyptian gods, Greek gods, Chinese gods, any other gods except the Asgards. Now you know why how you like the As now I know why everybody seems to like the Asgards more than the other gods. And of course there are a group of other aliens who are sort of like rebels who protest against the Golds, which they are called the Tokaras. Now, the Tokaras are very similar to the Golds, but they don't ally with the Golds. They rebel against the Golds because the difference between the Golds and the Tokaras. Now, the Golds they want to take over your body and treat you as a slave. So pretty much the relationship is master and slave. They take over your body and never have independent thoughts or anything. They'll just control you, and you wouldn't even have a say about it. The Tolkaras, on the other hand, they can choose a host, but only if the host decides to connect with them. So, so the Golds are more like master and slave. The Tolkaras are more like companionships, more like friends. They decided to work as one and share the same thoughts towards one another. And of course, Samantha Carter's father, he was having the bad case of cancer. And when Samantha found the Tolkaras, she decided to let her father be a member so he could communicate. I mean, so he can make a dear, a team like a friendship between Earth and the Tolkaras. And of course, Tilk is trying to let the Jaffas rebel against the Golds so they can also help Earth as well. So they've been going through every single galaxy trying to find allies from other parts of the planets. And even though there are other part of the government who tries to rebel and try to steal the technology for their own benefits, which I always hate. And of course, some of the characters gets replaced. Like one time, Daniel Jackson died, and one of the aliens, who is called the Colorana, he decided to take Daniel Jackson's place. Since he's an alien, he decided to go through the journey, and he does communicate with Tilk because Tilk himself is an alien. And his name is Jonas Quinn. Now, he was around for a short while until during the fifth season, he takes over Daniel's place until Daniel finally came back. And now there's no need for Jonas anymore. Jonas, I mean, since since now Daniel's back. And of course, sadly, Dr. Forrester, she got killed in the show, so now she's being replaced by Dr. Lamb, played by the lovely Lexa Doig. Now, one thing I recognize her from another sci-fi show, Andromeda, and also a sci-fi movie as well, Jason X. So pretty much, so pretty much throughout the whole show, they've been trading a couple of cast members from other sci-fi show. I mean, they have a, they have a lot of cast members from Star Trek, cast members from Andromeda, cast members from gee, trying to remember what other sci-fi show they appeared in. I mean, it's like they've been trading a few cast members, and then all of a sudden, Jack O'Neill, um, Richard D. Anderson, sort of left the show for a while. He gets replaced by two members in 2004, a year after I was born. I mean, a year after. I mean, a year before I graduated, and it is Lieutenant Colonel Cameron and Vala Mal Doran, played by Ben Browner and Corita Black. I know what you're thinking. Those people look familiar. Well, they're the same cast members from Farscape. You know what, guys? I remember when I was young, when the Sci-Fi Channel was doing like a back-to-back sci-fi series, science fiction series, back-to-back series. They were showing the Stargate SG-1 and Farscape back to back, which is kind of interesting. And I have seen Farscape. Huh. I think I'm going to review Farscape after this, because that is another sci-fi show I should talk about. Now, of course, Lieutenant Colonel Cameron. Now he kind of takes over for Jack O'Neill since he's no longer in charge and he's been promoted as general, and he also promoted Samantha as colonel as well. So, well, lieutenant colonel that is. And then Cameron takes over, and he's the one in charge along with Daniel and Tilk. And of course, Vala, she's a thief, and she is an alien from another planet as well. So she only wants to take what suits her and what fascinates her. I mean, she doesn't care about making peace with other aliens. She just likes to take what she wants. But she also has a fascination towards Daniel Jackson, though. So she's trying to put him on. I mean, she's trying to be on his good side, but every time when she says or does something, he always pisses him off. And that's pretty much it for SG-1. Now, of course, they've been trading other villains, like they brought Osiris, who is a girl, and also they brought Anubis as well. Since they finally killed off Apophis, they always keep having newer and newer villains until they finally dealt with Baal. Now, of course, the show itself, it got so popular that they decided to keep on making brand new series. Now, of course, after the 10th season of SG-1, they tried to make like a. They decided, I mean, they kept on trying to make an episode finale, like a cliffhanger finale, but didn't go well. So they decided to end the series with two straight to video movies, like Stargate: The Ark of Truth, and of course Stargate Continuum, where they finally brought back Richard Dean Anderson as Jack O'Neill. Now, after SG-1 finally ended with those two movies, they have decided to keep making spin-offs. Now, I only saw one episode on some of these episodes. Like, for instance, I have seen Stargate Atlantis, which a lot of people did tell me I should watch Atlantis as well because it is really, really good. It only lasted like 5 seasons from 2004 to 2009. Hmm. And then they did another spin-off, which it only lasted for like 2 seasons, and that is Stargate Universe from 2009 to 2011. And then they did sort of a prequel series called Stargate Origin, but it only lasted for like 1 season in 2018, which is supposed to be a backstory to that old lady from SG1 and her adventures that she went through. Now, there's also an animated series they made of Stargate, which I thought, I mean, every time when they do an animated series that is kid friendly, it's their way to sell toys from those series. But when I looked it up on eBay, there wasn't even a single action figure of it, only the action figure from the live action series. And the animated series is called Stargate Infinity, which that was made for kids. But of course, now their legacy still continues on in the Stargate SG1 comics. And a lot of people always kept saying that there's another sci-fi show that Amazon made. Oh yeah, one more thing I also forgot. General Hammond had to leave, and they wanted a new general. So now they have Major General Hank Lantry, played by Beau Bridges. He he takes over after General Hammond and of course O'Neill. I guess after Richard Dean Anderson decided to leave the show, I guess that's when they had another Major General, Beau Bridges takes over. Now, of course, there was another sci-fi show on Amazon where they said that it's supposed to be a brand new, I mean, it's like a new Stargate in a way, but it's a totally different story called The Expanse. Now, I haven't watched the show, so I don't know what to say about that show. But there are a lot of rumors talking about that they want to continue on with the Stargate. I mean, want to make a brand new series of Stargate. Hmm. Well, one thing about this Stargate, it's one thing to know about the Stargate. It's supposed to be a doorway to the other dimension where you go to other planets, and it's also a time machine so you can travel through time in it as well. It's really fascinating for that kind of premise. Well, this is my review of Stargate for today. If any of you like my review of Stargate, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more. And stay tuned because my next review is going to be Farscape. So, I'm the multi-voice reviewer. I remember so I can jog your memory.